Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to the Seeking Covering podcast. Today's episode is a really important one, and honestly, one I wish I had access to earlier in my life personally. We're talking about women's reproductive health, something that's often misunderstood, avoided, or only discussed once there's already a problem. I'm joined today by Aisha Ali, who is a nurse, and we're going to be breaking things down in a clear, respectful, and honest way. No fear mongering, no shame, just information every woman deserves to have. Aisha, welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much, Aisha, for having me.
Sister Aisha, before we get into today's topic, can you just tell us a little bit about your background? Who is Aisha Ali, and what exactly led you into nursing? What was the inspiration? What was the force behind you deciding that, you know what, this is the career path that I want to take?
Aisha Ali is just this simple human being. And well, growing up as a small girl, I didn't like imagine working in a hospital setup. I didn't imagine myself as a nurse. But I always wanted to be a journalist. But growing up, also, the things I used to do was like the opposite of, I would say, I want to be a journalist, I want to be a journalist. But what I was doing was very different. I liked to care, like, I would get an animal, care so much. If I see even a wound on anything, it can be a fruit. If it has something in my head, I'll be like, that looks like a wound. I would get a fruit, cut the, let's say, I'll give an example of a mango. I'll get a mango, for example. If I see it has a rotten thing, a small rotten part, I'll get it, I won't eat it, I'll cut that, and I would get like a needle and I would like suture the broken part. And I would do the same even for insects. Well, I can't know if an insect is sick, but what I was doing is I would pretend it's sick and I would just care for that insect. I was just doing that without really imagining myself as a nurse. So as time went by, I would still say, no, I want to be a journalist. I want to be a journalist. And after I completed my secondary education, I asked myself this question, like, do I really want to be a journalist? Being I was just telling myself, I think you have a good heart. You have that caring heart. And being a Muslim girl, I was like, what is something I can do in this dunya that will something that will benefit me in the world and something that will benefit me in the hereafter. So I told myself, how about I did nursing? So this is how I applied to be a nurse, and I went to university and I did my degree in nursing, and alhamdulillah, it's the best decision ever. I don't regret it. And all the time I feel so stressed with my job. I feel a little bit impatient, maybe with the patients, we're human beings. I always encourage myself, like, you're not doing this for yourself, or you're not doing this for the dunya, you're doing this for the sake of Allah. And inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to reward you. And in my family, I think I'm the first one to be in a medical field.
Mashallah. Subhanallah, there's something I've noticed, and I know many women can relate and will relate, is that a lot of us only discover that we have reproductive health issues after we are married, or when we are trying to conceive. I personally uh, always, thought that I would get married and I'll have kids. And then I never thought that there was any issues with me. I was never told to, visit a gynecologist while I was back at home with my parents. So now I'm married and I'm obviously expected to conceive, and then it's just not happening. And that's when obviously you start asking and you start searching for answers, like, what's wrong. My question to you, Sister Aisha, is, from your own experience, why do you think that this happens so often? Why do you think that women only find out that they have issues when they get married, and before that everybody just thinks, we are okay? And
Growing up, when like I started my P's, I would have these painful period pains. Yeah, we call them cramps. Like at the hospital, they call it dysmenorrhea. And in our society, they will just say, it's just periods. Like it's not a big deal. Like after P's, you're fine. And that used to be like so bad for me, especially on my first day of menses. Like I remember one time I was even unable to stand, just period pains. Like when I stand, I was falling down, and that happened when I was in my first year of university. I was new at the school, and my friends really got scared. They carried me, looked for a car, and I was taken to the nearest clinic. I was given some painkillers, which is okay. And after a few hours, I felt fine, and that continued like almost every month. But I would be like, anyway, it's just period pains, because I mean, you've grown up thinking it's just period pains, so it's not a big deal. So every month, I remember even after my university, I found a job at a certain company. I was working there, and all the time when it's that time of the month, even your workmates, male workmates will be like, Aisha, I think we're not fine, because the pain was too much, and I would vomit. Like, yeah, it was just very bad, and I always depended on painkillers, subhanallah. So well, as time went by, I just thought, anyway, even after graduating as a nurse, even after learning about a few conditions at university and knowing things that can make you have painful periods, I still just didn't really pay much attention to it. I was just thinking, anyway, it's just period pains, you'll be fine, just take a painkiller. So a few years later, I conceived, I got pregnant, and when I went to see my gynecologist, like first appointment with a gynecologist, he said, no, you need to do a scan and you need to do all those tests they do for pregnant people. Surprisingly, when I went for the scan, this sonographer was like, okay, he looked okay. The person just looked like at me weirdly. Like, then I'm like, what's wrong? What does he seen? Like, what's wrong with me? Like, I think to me, he like freaked out like just a little bit. Then after some time, he put that normal facial expression. Then he's like, do you know that you have fibroids? And I'm like, what? Like, what are you talking about? Because I've always thought like I was just, this normal human being without I mean, my uterus is fine, everything is fine. It was just so after I was taught that, I started actually relating to those painful uh cramps I would have when having my menstrual periods. So I was like, those were not just ordinary. This is why I was having those painful periods. So, and later on, Alhamdulillah, everything was a success. I had a baby. Having periods should not be painful. Like, it is not normal to have pain when you have your periods. Society should change the concept of saying, no, it's normal to have painful periods. This is normal. No, let's talk about things that are not normal. So, from now on and going forward, we need to teach the girls that it is not normal to have painful periods. If a girl starts a menses at 11, 12, and they are so painful, we need to take them for a scan. We need to take them to the doctor. It is not normal to have a painful period unless you do all the investigations and you find out that they're okay, then you can sit at home and say, okay, just take a painkiller. But we should not take it lightly when somebody's having menstrual pains, especially when they are severe, because it is not normal. You just think going to the hospital is when somebody's sick, and somebody has to be very sick. I don't know if it's just Africa. We have not normalized like doing checkups. So since now that we are the adults, we need to normalize taking our kids, especially our girls, for this, just for this test. I feel it's very important, sister. I feel it is something that we overlook, but it is important to just take your kid or yourself to just do a general body checkup. You check your uterus, you just check your ovaries. Even before you are married, it is very important to check your thyroid. You just check. Subhanallah, this time we have a lot of um conditions that are affecting the reproductive system. I'm not sure if it's the diet or the environment that is so polluted, but we have so many conditions. There's an increase in endometriosis, there's an increase in PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome. All these conditions that are affecting fertility and everything. So inshallah, let's just normalize taking our girls, taking ourselves for general body checkups.
Subhanallah. Honestly, I don't even think that it's an African thing. I think it's a global thing. Women are just not taught to take care of themselves. Women are just not taught to look after themselves. We are constantly busy looking after everybody else and not noticing what is really happening to us. And honestly, I remember growing up, I mean, nobody checked up on me in terms of my periods, whether I'm missing my periods or what. And yes, I personally too did experience painful periods. I still experience painful periods. There was a time where I also had, fibroids, but they were small, so the doctor said it will disappear on its own. Yeah, so for me, growing up and then being thrown with all these terms, fibroid, PCOS, hormones. Like I didn't even know what hormones mean. It was so overwhelming, and I've been wanting to have this conversation for so long because I know there are so many women out there who are just as confused as I was and still am. So I'm so grateful that we're sitting down and having this conversation. I think many of us just grew up believing that as long as I get a period, as long as my period shows up, then everything is okay. And as you mentioned, it's obviously not okay. We shouldn't be experiencing pain during our period. It's not normal. And I love the fact that you encourage that we go and check, do regular checkups, even with our daughters, even with our teenage daughters, our teenage sisters. We don't just wait for marriage and then boom, I can't have kids, or why am I struggling to have kids, or whatever the case may be, or I can't lose weight because I heard that all these hormones and everything sometimes do affect your weight and so on. But before we go into this conversation, I know a lot of us don't really understand all these terms. For someone who is listening, who hears the term woman's reproductive health, and they may feel overwhelmed because, well, what is a woman's reproductive health? How would you explain it simply to this person who doesn't understand what we mean by this?
The woman reproductive health, this is the overall well-being of a woman concerning the development, diagnosis, prevention, and treatment of the disorders related to the female reproductive system. So this is not just something like, okay, no, I'm not having PCOS, or no, I have fibroids, or no, I have painful periods. So generally, this is like everything, the way your the breasts are developing as a woman. Is it normal? Are you having periods as a young girl at puberty? Like, we need it includes the overall reproductive part of the woman. So generally all the, like, the private parts of the woman, the breasts, yeah, and yeah, the uterus and everything. So we need to make sure that is are they developing normal, is there like a diagnosis that we can make, and how can we like prevent the complications of the disorders, or how can we prevent some of these diseases.
Sister Aisha, you mentioned already that our periods should not be painful. That is a red flag in itself. So, my question to you is, what should a healthy menstrual cycle generally look like? And what other common red flags that we women ignore? We've mentioned pain. Are there any other red flags that we usually ignore, maybe in the discharge, or I don't know? I know nothing about medicine.
A normal period should be pain free. Like, you should not feel the pain, it's not supposed to be painful. Then the number of days or so, like a normal cycle, your period should be like between 21 to 35 days. So basically every month you need to see your P's. Yeah, that is a normal period. So, and the blood should not be like too much, it should just be a normal flow, and the blood should be red. And the red flags basically is like the opposite of what I've said. If you're having a painful period, yeah, that's a red flag. If maybe you're just having your periods, let's say you're skipping months to have your periods, that's another red flag. And if you're having, like, before your period starts, you feel this kind of tension and all that, that is another red flag. Yes, then when it comes to discharge, for a girl, it is very normal to have like vaginal discharge, especially when you are ovulating. So there's that egg white that comes out, that is like a normal discharge. And some of the red flags of the discharge is when you're having, just on any other day, you have a lot of discharge. Maybe the discharge is cheese like, and that's, yeah, and sometimes maybe the discharge is green, the discharge is yellow. So those are some of the abnormal discharges. Yeah, so you can have some discharge, because we believe the vagina cleans itself. So it is normal to see some discharge, especially when you are ovulating. And the color is like egg white, slimy egg whites. Yeah, that is very normal. Discharge should not smell. Discharge should be odorless.
You know, the part where you said that the vagina cleans itself made me laugh a little bit, because there's this there's this thing that happens in our African community. I don't know about the others, but in our African communities, you have these aunties that tell you, when you're cleaning yourself, you should, insert your fingers and I don't know what, clean it inside and all that. And then there's these aunties that make you I don't know, sit on steaming things and so on. So I wanted you to also just touch on female hygiene. What should be done and what shouldn't be done, like what is okay to do and what is not okay to do, what is okay to use and what is not okay to use in those areas, because I personally have had so many infections, because like I said at the beginning, I didn't know what I was doing with myself. I didn't know what was going on. And I would just listen to everyone. This one will say, no, you must do this, I'll do it. This one will say, no, you must do this, I'll do it. And because of that, I suffered so many with so many infections and so on, because there was just too much going on there. So please enlighten us, tell us, let's just put an end to this back and forth on what is female hygiene and what should be done, and what are the truths, what are the myths.
The best thing you can do so for your vagina and it will be happy is leave it alone, leave it the way it is. Do not dodge, do not like insert your fingers, do not do that. Wash it with plain water. Don't make it smell like pineapples, don't make it smell like perfume, don't make it smell like anything. It's a vagina. So just wash with plain water, no soaps, no nothing. Leave it the way it is. Do not steam. Do not steam, and do not put everything. People will tell you no, you need to what. This is why I don't know if you've noticed, but we have, especially here in Africa, we have a lot of cervical cancer. It's causing a lot of deaths in Africa, in African women, because we like to do all those things of put whatever in the vagina, put your fingers. So it is, the vagina does not appreciate that. We need to leave it alone. And the best thing you can do is you always wipe from front to back. Always wipe from front to back, and with just plain water. Don't add soap, don't add anything, just clean it with water. And most people, once you're able to get a foul smell, please visit a doctor, visit the clinic, see somebody. Don't start, no, because I have a bad smell, let me use soap. No, 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 it should not smell down there. So do not use anything, always just clean with plain water. And always make sure that you're shaved. Sometimes smells will come if somebody's not like shaved properly because of the sweat and everything. Yeah, so always make sure you shave down there and you just wash with water. And once you wash with your plain water, always make sure you dry, because if that area is moist or it is wet, it becomes a home for the bacterias. Like where there's moist, it invites bacteria, it's growth, it's like food for the bacteria. So make sure you wash and you dry yourself nicely. Wear cotton pants because they drain in case you sweat, like they're able to hold that sweat. But mostly you find that women want to wear these fashionable pants that are not cotton, and those also cause will just give you problems. They can give you fungal, because at the end of the day they can't like suck in the sweat that is coming. So the best hygiene hack is to leave your vagina alone. Always wash with plain water and make sure it's dry. People like what they call bubble bath, yeah. So that your vagina does not appreciate that. And it is actually advisable to use like a shower, because in those bubble baths it's like you're soaking it in chemicals, in the soaps and everything. So you're highly advised to use like a shower so that water can just run through, like sitting in soaps, steaming and doing all those things. It does not appreciate those things.
Y'all have heard it from someone who studied. So listen, please listen. Leave it alone. Only water. Now, let's jump into what actually brought us here. Let's talk about conditions that we hear about a lot, but don't always understand. We hear the conditions PCOS, we hear the conditions endometriosis, we hear, even you've mentioned earlier on, fibroids. Can you tell us a little bit more about these conditions? What are the causes? What are the preventions if you are or have been diagnosed with one of these things? What is the way forward? What can you do? What are the signs? For these diagnoses. So let's begin with inshallah fibroids, and then we'll do PCOS, and then we're going to do in endometriosis.
So basically, a fibroid is a non-cancerous growth. Like, it is not cancer. Don't be scared. Like, I have fibroids. Am I going to die? What is going to happen? So don't panic. It's a non-cancerous growth in a muscle layer of your uterus, and it is very, very common. Where you see like 5 ladies nowadays, one of them has fibroids. That's how common the condition is. The signs and the symptoms of fibroids, having like painful periods, heavy bleeding. These are the most common, but it doesn't mean when you have like painful periods or heavy bleeding, it doesn't like mean you have fibroids. You need to visit your doctor, and your doctor is the only person that can tell you that you have fibroids after doing investigations, and the investigations that are done, basically an ultrasound. So these are caused by hormones, basically the estrogen and the progesterone. These hormones help us to conceive. These hormones like to thicken the uterus so that somebody can menstruate. And these hormones, they also support like fertility and everything. But again, these hormones also support the fibroids. So when somebody has got fibroids, these hormones will be produced, and they'll support that fibroid to even like grow more. If somebody was to ask me like what causes fibroids, I would say it's the hormones. That's like a simple answer you can give. Then another answer is sometimes our fibroids can be genetic. Let's say if your grandmother had fibroids, you have a high chance of also developing them. Then another contributing factor is also race, being an African or being like a black American. In short, being a black, you have more chances of having fibroids than a white person. So how can we treat these fibroids? Basically, we can treat them with drugs like hormonal drugs that we can like that your doctor can prescribe. Your doctor can prescribe some drugs that you can take, and inshallah those drugs can shrink the fibroids. Another option your doctor can give you is by um having a baby. Yeah, also having a baby helps in, because like I said earlier, it's a hormonal condition. So yeah, so having a baby also helps with the treatment of the fibroids, depending on the size of the fibroids. If they're too big, the only option that is out there is um a myomectomy, where they will surgically cut you open and remove. Polycystic ovarian syndrome is a disorder where the ovaries produce too many androgens. These are like male hormones. It can disrupt your menstrual cycle and affect fertility. It can even affect your skin. It can even affect your metabolism. Yeah, so this is a condition where it's a disorder. So a disorder, it simply means it has should I say, so many symptoms. Yes, it has got so many symptoms. And basically, you are a female and you have an increase in the production of a male hormone, testosterone. If left untreated or controlled, it can lead to diabetes, heart diseases, or infertility. So the early signs of PCOS is one, irregular or missed periods. Maybe in a year you can just have your periods maybe once, or maybe in a year you can just have your periods twice. The next sign is unwanted facial or body hairs, like higher androgen levels cause hair to grow on the chin, on the chest, and stomach. So you're a female, but you're having all these hairs like a male, because you have a lot of testosterone. Some people can even have like a big voice, like a masculine voice. Yeah. Then the other sign is also severe acne or oily skin. So androgen will stimulate oily glands, especially on the face and the back. So as a result, you even find that you have a lot of pimples on your face and on your back. Then another sign and symptom of PCOS is weight gain or trouble to lose weight. And some people won't even understand that you have this condition and they'll just think maybe you eat too much, this is why you're gaining weight. But the fact of the matter is you have a condition that sometimes these people, yeah, the ones I've talked to, you find that they don't even eat much, they are starving, but they're gaining a lot of weight because of the condition that they have. So PCOS often causes insulin resistance, making hard to manage weight loss, and people won't even understand. You find that this person goes to the gym, they're on a strict diet, they are doing everything they can, but they are not losing the weight. So subhanallah, let's be kind to each other. We don't know what our friends are passing through. We don't know the battles our friends are fighting. Yeah, so let's be nice, inshallah. And another sign and symptom is thinning of the hair. You find that your hair is just falling off, and some people even become bald, like a female, but your hair just falls off. So this can also indicate PCOS. This disease, it's a hormonal disorder, yes, but it also affects metabolism. Let's say somebody just eats a small chocolate and they gain weight, so this has something to do with the metabolism and everything. There's a part of hormones involved here and there, yes, but also the gut is involved. And you find that somebody who has PCOS, they get bloated. Sometimes you can even see a cup like protruding belly, like because they get a lot of bloating, they feel like they have a lot of gas. So that has something to do with the metabolic part of the condition and their insulin resistance. And some people tell you, no, just eat like one meal a day. Yeah, that makes sense, but to be honest, it doesn't really affect much when it comes to PCOS. So have your meals, but don't exaggerate your portion. Some people will tell you to skip breakfast, but I think it's important, even when you have PCOS, to just have your breakfast, but have a healthy breakfast. Avoid like complicated dishes when you're having, and just control your portions. So you can replace, let's say if you like coffee, you can just replace it with water or non-caffeinated juices. You can take at least even walks, even after a small meal, after your breakfast, you can take a walk. You don't do like vigorous exercises too much, just do slow workouts. It really helps. You can cut your gluten and dairy, just try to see what happens, but be easy on yourself, inshallah. Don't be too hard on yourself. And you can also take supplements. You can take your vitamin D, you can take your vitamin C, and you can eat food that contain omega 6 like salmon and everything. And also avoid a lot of gadgets. These days, with this generation, before we sleep, we like to press our phones too much. Just you can avoid that. Then medically, your doctor can also advise, inshallah, what you can do. There are certain drugs your doctor can prescribe to help with your PCOS. Endometriosis is a chronic inflammatory disease where the tissue similar to the one in the uterus grow. So you find that the tissue that is similar to the one that grows in the uterus grows somewhere else. And this, it can happen like maybe in your rectum, your lungs, your brain, your bladder, and other parts. So, because it doesn't belong there, it causes massive inflammation, pain, irregular periods, and other symptoms. Endometriosis, because I said it's inflammation. So, inflammation, when you hear of the word inflammation, it just imagine like something that is swollen and something that is paining. That's a simple way to like say. So whenever you hear inflammatory, imagine sourness and imagine pain. Because endometriosis is an inflammatory disease, the best you can do is consume anti-inflammatory foods. On flax seeds, nuts, berries, ginger, primrose oils, and primrose capsules can also help. We need to reduce this hormone estrogen. Basically, estrogen is like it's the boss, it's causing all these confusions. So when we reduce this estrogen by eating healthy, by eating like cauliflower, broccoli, you know and we also need to limit the environmental toxins, e.g., the smoke, the BPA, plastics, even reducing stress. When you have endometriosis, you need to reduce on stress. You need to try meditating. You need to do the yoga and just simple exercise that do will help with this weird disease. So the signs and symptoms. So the signs may include heavy bleeding, pain during intercourse or after. You can even have a painful cramp like during your periods, lower back pain, struggling to get pregnant, pain when you want to pee or poop during your periods, a lot of bloating. And this endometriosis has also become common. You find that where there are 10 women, one of them has this condition. When we think about where we started from the fibroids, the PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, and finally the endometriosis, you guys, all these conditions are related and they have too much similar signs and symptoms. So they need a medical profession to diagnose. Do not self-diagnose and do not self-treat. Please always visit your doctor and let the doctor manage this condition. Let your doctor diagnose and let your doctor treat. Do not treat yourself. Because if you just Google or listen to yourself, you confuse everything. You might be thinking I have endometriosis when you have PCOS. You might be thinking I have endometriosis, but maybe it's just a fibroid. And you might be thinking you have all these, but it's just in your brain. You don't even have anything. So please always make sure you visit your doctor for any medical advice.
Subhanallah, this is a lot to take in, a lot of information. Jazakallah, Sister Aisha, for sharing your knowledge with us. I really want to stress this point. We need to understand that reproductive health matters before marriage. We have to take care of ourselves. We have to go and see doctors. We shouldn't just wait for after marriage for us to realize, or there is a problem. I also want to say that having these conditions, having these reproductive issues, or having these diagnoses, be it fibroid, be it PCOS, be it endometriosis, is not a death sentence. We are Muslims, we are believers, and we believe that, some of us will be tested, and these are the tests that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decided to test us with. All we can do is do our best to um, live with it if it's uncurable, or find ways to manage it if it's manageable, and also just understand at the end of the day that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, after all, the one who has the last say. So again, it's not a death sentence. There's still hope. I know a lot of women who have PCOS who have conceived. Sister Aisha mentioned at the beginning of this podcast that she had fibroids and she has a child or children. So, all hope is not lost. This podcast is just to create awareness and tell people that these are the things that are going on. These are the struggles that other women, most women are going through, and these are the causes, these are the preventions, and so on. Another point I really, really wanted to, you know, bring up in this conversation or in this podcast was the fact that in our Muslim communities we like to pretend like things don't happen, but things do happen. We're talking about STDs, we're talking about HIV and AIDS, we're talking about all these sexual transmitted diseases that we pretend that don't exist. Unfortunately, uh, Allah has set laws and rules to protect us, but because we are human we go against them and we go and do things that bring about these diseases and these I don't know, diseases, infections. You call it whatever you want to call it. So this is a reality. We have Muslim brothers, we have Muslim sisters who have STDs, who have HIV and AIDS, and so on. So we don't just stay in relationships or marriages and cross our hands and believe that our partners are these innocent people or whatever. You never know. You can never trust people 100%. So make it um make it like a regular thing to go to the clinics and check yourself for STDs and check yourself for HIV and AIDS and so on. Like, invest in your body as a woman. Take your partner with and go and check yourselves as well. Sister Aisha touched on a point. She spoke about cervical cancer at the beginning of this podcast, and this is another thing that we don't speak about. We don't again check ourselves. There's so much information out there on how to check yourself for maybe breast cancers. And again, the reason why I'm saying go out and check yourself for if you have STDs or and so on, because there are some STDs that cause cervical cancers and so on. So it is so important, my beloved sisters and brothers, to really invest in yourself, in a sense where you go and you seek professional physical help and check yourself and make sure that everything is good and you eat well and so on, right? As much as we trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is also our responsibility and our duties as Muslims and as individuals to tie the camel, to go ahead and live a healthy life, eat healthy food, exercise, go on regular checkups, and so on. With that being said, I would like to just, thank you, Sister Aisha, for accepting our invitation and taking out time in your busy, hectic life to be here with us. Jazakallah, thank you so much. Before we close off, I just want to leave everyone with one final thought. We need to understand that in Islam, our bodies are Amanah. They are a trust from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And caring for our health isn't a lack of faith, it's actually an act of it. Seeking knowledge, paying attention to the symptoms, and getting medical help when something doesn't feel right is also part of honoring that amana. It's also part of honoring that trust that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has entrusted us with. So many women live in silence, normalizing pain, ignoring their symptoms, or waiting until things get worse. But Islam doesn't teach us to suffer quietly, it teaches us to seek treatment, to ask questions, and to take responsibility for what we've been entrusted with, which is our body. This conversation isn't about fear, it's about awareness, as Sister Aisha says in our conversation. It's about prevention, it's about understanding that looking after your reproductive health is not something you postpone until marriage or until motherhood. It is something you begin with intention and knowledge and care. Thank you so much once more, Aisha Ali, for sharing your knowledge so clearly and passionately. And to every woman listening, your health does matter, your body matters, and taking care of it is part of your worship as a Muslimah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and I'll see you in the next episode of the Seeking Covering podcast.